3rd, 2023. 23 is our wild. Got Bernie and K9 here. We are bringing you guys a bracket breakdown for Open number 7 in New Mexico, Albuquerque.
Yeah. You ever been to Albuquerque?
No, that's where Bugs Bunny always made the wrong turn.
Always. By the way, Michael Caine and I, a.k.a. Ghostfinger, a few years back when we used to have to drive the trucks and the trailers like all across the country, we stopped in Albuquerque for a night. We had a good time. Yeah, this is back pre-COVID. We had a good time. It was fun.
Yeah. New Mexico is one of those states that on the map I could probably guess where it's at.
It's right next to Texas, man.
I'm so geographically
it's west. I'm actually a geographical genius. I'm really good at it. It's the direct state west of Texas.
Okay. So
in between Texas and Arizona.
What time zone am I going to?
Well, it depends. It's central, and then you can get to mountain.
Okay. So yeah, I have no idea. I fly out I believe Thursday, midday this time. So I arrive at 4:30. So I'm gonna get there probably at 6 o'clock in the morning for my 12 o'clock flight. I'm not gonna miss this one. I don't think we'll have the holiday rush.
You're not gonna miss this one? Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's Super Bowl weekend.
Oh man. Yeah. So now I'm even more nervous. Matter of fact,
actually next weekend. Next weekend's not Super Bowl. Yeah, so we're fine.
Okay. Pro Bowl though, right? Do they even do that anymore? I don't even
Flag football.
Flag football weekend. Oh man.
They're doing flag football for the Pro Bowl now.
Yeah, so I got my Bengals still going, dude. Bengals pulled off the
Bengals are hot.
Yeah, so I got a dream. I'm actually in pretty good position right now because being in Kansas City, if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, obviously I'm in Party Central. We're gonna kick it. We're gonna have a great time. If the Bengals go to the Super Bowl, boom, more money in my pocket plus a chance to win the blind pick that I got.
Wow, Joe Shiesty, man. Joe Shiesty's the deal.
Yeah,
I love Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I had him in fantasy pretty much the whole year.
I did too. I did. I had him too. I love Joe Shiesty. I mean, I think it's kind of fun that all the quarterbacks have kind of changed. I mean, for years it was older quarterbacks, and now every quarterback that was in the last 8, Dak Prescott was the oldest quarterback at 28. I mean, that's crazy.
Patrick Mahomes is the old guy
now. Yeah, and he's in his 20s. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's the old guy, the experienced veteran. I mean, we got the Mr. Irrelevant story on the other side. I'm looking forward to these Final Four teams, man. I don't even know who I want to.
If you're Brock Purdy, what are you telling your friends right now? Dude, like, are you telling them I told you so, or are you just like, man, I can't believe this is happening?
I'm probably just walking quietly around, just staring at people. I'm not saying a single word. I'm just walking around, nodding, and be like,
mm-hmm.
Yep, everybody knew, and then I'm just leaving the room.
Then what happens next year? The kid took you to the Final Four in NFL football, which is hard to do. I think it's going to be tough to beat the Eagles on the road, but whatever. Do you give someone else his job back to start next year?
I would stay there. I mean, Tom Brady did it. It
right?
worked out well for
them.
So
that's what I'm saying.
I would stay right there with him, man. I mean, I don't know what the McCaffrey situation is as far as the offseason goes, but I mean,
dude, he's not going anywhere.
The team looks good, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not a 49ers fan. I know Nate Voyer's ecstatic.
Sure. I'm not either. I mean, McCaffrey played for the Panthers forever, so that was tough for me being a Panther fan, like all 10 of us.
So you're not having any of the Matt Stafford Detroit Lions fan thing going on? You're just happy for the kid to win, so now you're rooting for the 49ers?
I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of pulling for Cincinnati.
Okay.
I like Burrow because I had so many of those guys on my fantasy team. It's like, go ahead and win it.
Might as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always along the lines, too, of like I want good players to win a championship. Like Mahomes already has his, so I'm fine with that. Like whenever A-Rod was going forever, trying to get his ring, I was happy when he got it. How's your health? You sound like you're dying.
It's fine. I've got something stuck in my throat, unfortunately.
Good timing.
The funny thing about Mahomes is he needs more than one, I think. At least 2. He probably needs 3 to solidify his true greatness. Yeah, because there's a ton of guys with 1 Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer's got a Super Bowl.
He's becoming the Brady stat guy, though, for me. Like I said, love Mahomes, great Kansas City guy. I'm officially involved in the Kansas City community now. And Chad Smith's actually got something going on. A pretty cool tournament where I think we're going to Arrowhead for one of these tournaments going later in the season. So
wow,
hopefully they'll need me to broadcast. That'd be kind of cool. And I think that everything he does now is a stat. You know what I mean? Like Patrick took 47 steps to the locker room, has never lost before pregame wearing a blue shirt. Like,
right.
Come on, dude.
No, I get that, but I mean, I think that, like, for example, the Allen kid out of Buffalo is already starting to can't win the big one.
Yeah,
which is crazy considering what he did last year when he could have easily won the AFC Championship. Like, I mean, things happen so fast now, and I mean, all of a sudden, you've won one Super Bowl.
13 seconds is not on Josh Allen.
No, exactly. I mean, he did more in 3.5 minutes than most quarterbacks in a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Now, granted, he got outplayed. I mean, I just think that Cincinnati's on a mission.
I hope so, man. I know Matt Guy would be pretty ecstatic if they pull that one off.
All those kids, yeah.
I
guess I can't call Matt a kid. I guess.
Yeah, I was going back through the pictures to try and get ready for today on the breakdown, and I pulled up. I think it was Vegas, and Matt Guy had on his Bengals chain. If you remember that when he played
absolutely. We ended up taking over some bar in Vegas. The one, like, you were there last year. Like, you walked through that, like, on your way to the where everything was for us. There was one bar in that hallway, so we ended up taking over that whole bar.
Yeah, that's where we watched the Super Bowl. It was
fun. Yeah.
All right, man. You ready to get into it?
We need to get into
break.
it.
Let's take a break. Get some water, man. You gotta.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
We need your pipes for this.
All right,
chat. Let us know who you guys want us to look out for in New Mexico. Take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Bernie, I don't know if it's me or I don't know. There's not a single comment in the chat yet.
I think they're waiting on us, man. I think they're waiting. They're waiting for the list.
What's going on? I saw Nabors hopped in. Gavin Cano hopped in. I mean, Zach Scheibner. I mean, where's everybody at? Nobody's saying hi.
I mean, people hate you.
I know, dude. I'm gonna have to hand it over to Anthony and Trey next week when
they
do their teams breakdown. And
everyone will be in watching that. I mean, dude, we've gone to JV. I mean, we're so JV now.
Pretty much.
It's painful.
Like, we didn't even get the Josh Keck yo this week.
It's early. We're
falling off. All right. Well, since nobody else cares, let's go ahead and dive into my singles and take a look at what we got coming up here in. Oh, it says Pro Shootout on the side. My bad on the graphics card, folks. We're B League anyway.
Yeah,
but
that's so JV.
Yeah, this is open number 7. I forgot to change that. But singles players to watch. My number 1 player is Dylan Turpin. Dylan Turpin is the Texas Bulldogs team captain along with Eddie Grindersleeve, and I'm curious as to what type of Dylan Turpin we're going to get this year. Switching bag manufacturers and teaming up with a new partner this year in Caleb Franklin. Number 17 last year in singles and number 11 in doubles.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard too much from him this year, though.
I'm
waiting.
I don't know, man. I think pros, once they're in it for a little while, start to it's the nationals. It's the big tournaments, a lot of them. That's where I think a lot of these guys and girls kind of feel like that's where they need to perform. I don't know if that's necessarily the right viewpoint to take because obviously, I mean, you can requalify through open standings, right? I mean, you can do a lot of things through open standings. So I don't know. I wonder. I'm like you. I mean, like it's a name that you're expecting big things from now, and it's a name you're not hearing from yet. But I wonder, are we waiting? Are we waiting on that first national? I don't know.
It's still early. The season really has yet to begin, but I am excited to watch Dylan in singles action to see what he can do. Number 2 on my list. Anytime I go west of basically, I'm in Kansas City now. Anytime I go west, I think of basically automatically either California or Arizona.
Right.
So if we're going west, it's Tai Lopez territory. Interested to see what Tai can do. He's also an Arizona burn captain, and he finished number 44. I think quietly though.
Quietly.
Is that odd to say?
No, I think if you finish
Tai Lopez quiet.
I think at the way the pro division is now, and you finish top 50, you are an amazing cornhole player. I mean, you are a world-renowned cornhole player. Would everyone think that of Tai Lopez? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he's top 50. That's pretty insane. But if you asked, I don't know. Maybe they would. I mean, if you asked the top 20 pros, all right, give me your top 50. Would Tai Lopez be in there? Probably. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just shows how consistent he was throughout the year. I mean, always finishing near the top, but never really cracking that top 10. I believe it was Mesa. Could have been Vegas. One of those, they kind of were back-to-back weeks there, but he had a nice run at that tournament, went pretty deep. I believe finished top 3. Other than that, man, I can't really remember him finishing too strong anywhere. But
to your point, though, I think last year, especially in the shootout series, the home turf was guarded pretty well.
Yeah.
Like the Zazweda brothers did very well out west. I mean, when we were out west, the West Coast folks did very well. When we were in the Mideast and the Midwest, those folks people really, protected their turf very well last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tai Lopez goes ham this weekend.
Yeah, West does Tai Lopez territory, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see him do something in singles. Number 3 on my list, I've been talking about him for quite a bit this season. He's just been showing out the entire season. Carson Goethe, as Stacey would say.
Yeah.
So Carson, he was part of that trade as we went over the team's events. Ranked number 146. I would not think that, but he kind of had an off season, and he seems to right the ship this year. Sponsored by Vortex, mutual partnership. Shout out to them. But he has been throwing pretty much the same bags this year. And we've talked about it every time we bring him up, the consistency that Carson is putting out right now, having the consistent partner, being very familiar with the bags that he's throwing. He's not hopping all over the place like he was at the beginning of last season. So Carson could put together a strong run. I think it might happen here in New Mexico.
I always like when I watch Carson play, and I've had him on streaming courts, and I've seen, watched him at other times. Consistency is the right word. Because there's times when you watch Carson Getty play and you feel like, wow, that's a top 20 player. And then you get 3 rounds in a row and you're like, man, what's he doing? Like,
he's got what just happened?
Yeah.
He's got the shots. He's got the pushes, the airmails. He's even got a little cut and roll to him.
Yep.
The one thing I like watching more than his bags is his eyes. If Carson can stay focused on the court, he's fine.
Right.
But there's times during that match, like you're talking about, where he'll start to look to the crowd and he'll be like, hey, do you see me doing good?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So he's got to stay focused on the court. Almost put blinders on, if you will, Carson.
No. And look, I think there's a lot of players like that. You want to know another player that's probably a little higher ranked than Carson that I think is a little bit like that would be an Ashton Spees.
Yeah. I
think you're talking a similar kind of game, a similar kind of player that sometimes can get a little focused on what's outside of what's in front of him. And, but like there are times when you watch Carson play and you're like, wow, this guy's it's legit. He's got it all. He's got all the shots. Why is he ranked? What was his ranking again?
Last year's 146.
I mean, don't you think that's very low for his talent level?
I do think so. I mean, but again, it goes back to kind of what we talked about last week with the off the court stuff. You know, he had a lot of problems trying to find partners, and that stuff weighs into you.
Absolutely.
You know, not just not having a partner to go to these tournaments and figure things out, but having to answer the questions whenever other pros ask, who you throwing with this week? And then you got to explain yourself for like the first day or two of the tournament. And it takes you a while to get into your groove.
By the way, Josh Keck has come in and he's banging on you, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's killing you.
Yeah, and actually, the thing that sucks is that I tried to be the aggressor today.
I know.
Trey usually puts these graphic cards together for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the list early. I went in the computer and I talked to you. My other computer was in the shop. So I started going through it and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get these graphic cards ready ahead of time. And I got them ready ahead of time, and I forgot that stupid ACL pre-sale.
It's the details, man. It's the details. And you know what? This is a great segue, Carson Getty, if you're watching. It's the details. It's the little things. It's not the fact that you can hit a big shot. It's the rounds that are going to be washes to take advantage of.
Yeah, I was doing the Carson Getty thing, looking at the side, like, hey, Trey, see what I can do?
Look what I can do. Yeah.
And then we got this.
Yes. Awesome.
I got to do it to myself when I mess up.
That is awesome.
All right, but let's segue into someone who doesn't mess up. Number 4, Caden Allen. He is the best number 93 ranked player you're ever going to see.
Ever. At least for right now. I mean, the Open Series this year, it's Caden Allen's world, right?
Yeah, Big Man Can't in the chat asking if Caden Allen's a pro. He is not a pro. He's going to be an amateur the entire season. But let me tell you what this man's doing so far. Perfect in locals. Perfect in regionals. Perfect in opens. He has not lost his bracket this season in singles. He's actually going back. He's won his last 6 open singles, going back to Worlds in West Virginia. So Caden Allen will be a guest this week on Baggin' and Braggin'.
There you go.
There's my plug. Got to get that in there.
That is shameless. That is good.
But he is a beast on the boards, and I'm going to keep putting him on my list until he loses one, because I just want to see how far this streak can go. Caden Allen's a beast, no doubt about it.
Dude, what do you say? I mean, the Open Series is his series right now. I mean, I want to see him in some different settings, but until we get to that point, all you can say is the kid's slinging it.
Yeah, he missed it, I believe, by days and a few points. He's making sure that doesn't happen this year.
Yeah.
Number 5 on my list. You know the name. Do you know Chuck Grzinski?
I know the name. I'm not familiar with his game.
All right, so Chuck is a Man Cave Monday boy. He's also maxed out on local points, but crazy thing, he's right now number 40 in open standings. I was going through the tape the other day, getting the highlights and stuff like that, and I was like, I don't remember Chuck playing. And then he beat, I believe, it was Steve Schrader, who was my pick to win that bracket, and did it in pretty convincing fashion. And then he's been on a tear lately, just dominating pretty much every bracket and throwing very, very consistent. But the stat that got me and makes me want to keep my eye on him this weekend is he's number 1 in Illinois.
Okay. There's some pretty good players in Illinois.
Yeah, number 1 over Illinois. And the standings are kind of weird in Illinois. We got Ryan Treader number 2, Dawson Cummings number 3, and then Jeremy Frazier number 4. So Chuck Grzinski, not a pro, but definitely throwing very well. And he's got a spot on my top 5 as a player to watch.
You know what? That's what makes you great, Wally. You're a man of the people.
I am, man.
I'm usually very focused on the top heavy group because it's what I'm more familiar with, but also B, I don't know. I either like to talk them up or jinx them, I guess. But you always have folks out there that maybe not everyone's familiar with.
Yeah, I like to at least throw in 1 or maybe 2 on my list. But
I always have the ladies, though. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah,
I've always got 1 or 2 ladies in my group.
You are the ladies' man, Bernie. You are the ladies' man. That's what people have been saying about
They
you.
literally sprint the other direction when I come over.
All right, so that's what I got for my top 5. Dylan Turpin, Ty Lopez, Carson Getty, Caden Allen, and Chuck Grzinski. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to dive into Bernie singles and see if Cheyenne made the list. Welcome back to ACL Live. K9 and Bernie breaking down Open number 7, heading to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I can't ever say it just normal. I have to say it in like a little twist.
I mean, it's not spelled to say normal.
Yeah, Albuquerque. So. All right, ready for your list, Bernie?
Singles. I guess. Let's do this.
We got to do it anyway. We're hired for a reason. There we go. ACL Pro Shootout number 1. No.
We kind of, I know, right? We kind of hinted on it before, and you were talking about it, with Ty Lopez. It's the reason I've got Moses Azueta on my list as number 1. Last year, it just seemed like whether it was an Open, whether it was a shootout, whether it was a national, the folks that they just protected their region. And the Azueta brothers were a perfect example of that, especially in the shootout series. So I'm curious to see if Moses can kind of continue that. I mean, I know we're not out far enough in Arizona for Moses and those guys, but I mean, it's close enough, right? With New Mexico being a bordering state. It's not quite there, but it's almost there. So it's one of the reasons why I want to see what Moses is up to this season, because it's not a name that we've heard much about. You talked about it with Carson. I think I feel the same way about Moses. I mean, there's a lot of talent there, but we haven't seen it in a while. Yeah, so Moses, I'm curious.
Moses is another guy. Basically, there's 3 in my opinion. You got the Ty Lopez, and then there's Azuetas.
Yeah.
So Moses is one of those players last year. Whenever he made the broadcast, I think it was Pro Shootout. He impressed me a lot when he was throwing the bags. He was sneaking around. He was airmailing. He was playing a very, very strategic block game, and I think it was very impressive to see him take that leap into the upper echelon of players. Very strong pick there for your first place finish.
Well, there we go. That nonsense again. Yeah, these are just people I'm looking. And by the way, once we get to number 2, and we talked on off air before we came on about my number 2 pick, Ryan Wiedenfeld, and we're not sure if he's going to be there because he's gone through about as bad a thing as a child can go through. And right. Yes, he's still a child. He may not act like one when he plays, but he's still a child. And that the reason I put him on the list is I just wanted to send a shout to him, man. I don't get to see Ryan, I don't get to hang out with him much, but being someone that's lost a parent at a young age, I can't even fathom what he's going through right now. It's really, really difficult. And I just wanted him to know that I was thinking about it.
Yeah, Ryan, I hope the whole family knows how much I care about Ryan and Dan, and it's devastating to hear the news. Noah Wooten's got a benefit raffle or something going on right now, so make sure you guys check that out. I know Mark Isley's put something together, and I'll be doing something as well. But I do want to talk to Ryan first before we make it happen. So not sure if Ryan's even going to be there in New Mexico, but
yeah,
definitely in our thoughts and prayers. Wherever Ryan's at, man, I'm be in his corner. You already know that.
Yeah.
I don't have to say it.
Yeah, 100%. Number 3, Zach Shibner. Zach showed me a lot in Myrtle Beach, and I know it's a shootout. And look, there's still this group out there in cornhole land. You've got people that understand how important shootouts are, and then you've got still that group. It's not the 21. I don't care, right? Zach showed me something in Myrtle Beach. Zach was bagging out. Zach did not ever seem like it was over his head, and that means something. I've watched a lot of players do really well for a weekend, but then you see them the next time a big tournament comes around, and it seems like, oh man, all the attention, everything's too much, right? And they just kind of fall back into the middle.
Yeah, the only person Zach lost to that weekend was Kyle Malone,
who no one was beating that weekend.
We were already talking about how he was just unstoppable that weekend. So who knows if Kyle Malone wasn't there? Maybe we're talking about Zach Shibner being the number 1 pick.
Because he looks, you know what I mean? Like he looked so steady. Like it never looked like it was above what he knew how to do.
Yeah, let me ask you this though: how much stock do you put in draft positions where he got picked? He got picked number 2 right now.
I think that. Look, and I said it on the draft coverage. I think some of the captains got a little, and look, I do it all the time too. They got a little, impressed with a weekend.
Yeah. Well, no, my question is more along the lines of, how long do we go into the season before we consider this a bust or a reach or anything like that, or maybe a successful pick, depending on how he plays?
I think Zach Shibner just has to requalify to be but for his pick, I mean, he's got to finish top 25 for his pick, right? Top 30.
Isn't it crazy though that we're ranking the decisions on where they got picked and how
I think it's ridiculous.
It was on singles, doubles whenever they got picked for teams.
I think it's
a entirely different event.
Look, we have this conversation all the time. It's difficult. I would not want to be a captain in that room, and I think people get caught up sometimes in what they've seen recently. And I think that's what happened with Zach. But either way, I'm just telling you, I saw something in the kid that seemed like it was not above him. Now, look, we may not hear from Zach again this year, right? Like, this is a guy that could drift back into the middle. And by the way, with how good the middle is, there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
But I liked what I saw, and that's why I put him on the list. I want to see where he continues to go from here.
No, I like it.
And number 4 is kind of the flip side of that coin. This time last year, there were 3 names, right? And Matthew Creekkiller was one of those names. You had Mark Richards, you had Matthew Creekkiller, and I'm trying to think of someone else who just really just kind of burst on the scene last year early. It was Matt Guy, and Matt Guy's always there, but Matt was so big, and but like Matthew Creekkiller comes on, and everyone's like, "Dude, have you seen this kid play? He's 18, blah blah blah, and he's fucking killing it." By the way, sorry about the language, kids. Anyway, where's he been?
A little late.
Yeah, nice. That was my fault. But where's he been?
I mean, I think that the thing with Matthew Creekkiller though is that he throws how he like presents himself. He's so nonchalant and like laissez-faire with it, and he doesn't care about the standings and the rankings. I don't think he just wants to go out there and throw his best and win. But I mean, going into the numbers, number 18 pro singles last year. You know where he's at this year in open standings?
Can't tell me.
817.
Yeah, that's what. Well, I don't know where he's been. I just don't. By the way, where'd you get that number? Because that's
shout
insane.
out to Josh Keck, by the way.
Yeah, he is just blasting you online. Josh hates me so much he won't even use my name anymore.
I was so insecure about what his message said. I went to read it, so I messaged him privately to did I get my numbers wrong? Because I'm pretty sure I'd researched like an hour, and he's like, "No, you did it right. Just give credit." I'm like, "Oh my god, dude!"
Yeah.
So there you go. Shout out to Josh. Even
always shout out to Josh. By the way. There's a lot of what I do that would be impossible if it wasn't for Josh Keck. So there you go. But anyway, I just feel like, was he just happy with last year? You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I was pretty good, especially the first half. Like, was that enough?
I don't think so. I think he's still got some stuff to show us. We'll kind of dive into that a little bit whenever I get to my doubles picks. And
you ready? I'm gonna make you mad, and I'm gonna make Anthony Ione mad. I love Alex Hicks as a kid, as a player, as a human being. But you never see it in nationals. B, you're not seeing it this year like you did last year. Are we just going through an adjustment period? Right? Like look, he's going to go through a few over the next couple of years, going through puberty, getting a little taller. Like there's going to be adjustments that happen for Alex Hicks over the next few years. Are we in one of those adjustment periods?
Number 13 in open series standings right now.
Which is that not the quietest 13 ever? Seriously.
I mean, what do we want from him?
Exactly. I mean, look, I know I'm wrong 90% of the time. And maybe I'm wrong about Alex. Maybe he's just getting to a point where he's always at the end of the bracket. You just never see him win. I don't know. I don't know.
You need that splash. I mean, the kid.
I just feel like talent for talent. I feel like talent for talent. I'm waiting for something different from Alex, because I feel like on a talent level, he should be there with Jamie Graham, Devin Harbaugh, Matt Guy, Mark Richards. Elite of the elite of the elite. And I don't know if he ever gets there, and I don't know if that's his fault necessarily. I don't know. But I want, hopefully he wins this weekend, sends me a giant middle finger on social, right? Like that's what I hope. That's literally
that, so I'll do that for you if it
happens. that's actually what I hope for.
Yeah. But no, Alex Hicks, man, I think he's fine. I'm not worried about him going through the stages of life that's going to change his throw or anything like that. I think he's exactly where
he's going to get taller. That's going to change his release point.
Yeah, but I mean, whenever you were growing up playing baseball, you didn't really have an adjustment period with throwing the ball.
I did playing basketball. Absolutely, I did.
Really? I just felt like I learned it as I go. I mean, these kids are throwing every single day, so their body learns it.
I get what you're saying. I mean, it all seems relative, right? You just go through it every day, and you don't even realize you've gotten 4 inches taller, right? I mean, I get it, but look, the Cobbs went through it. I mean, most kids have a growth spurt.
No, physically,
it changes things.
Physically, mentally, they're
yeah. Anyway, I'm banging on Alex for no reason because I actually want the thing about all right. Truth. The thing about for me with Alex is I actually want Alex to be one of the top 5 players in the world. That's what I want, and I think that he can be.
All right, Alex, you heard it there. Climb 8 more spots to
right.
Bernie.
No, not open standings. Look.
He's tied for first in pro standings right
now. I know. I want him to be at the end of the year a top 5 player. That's what I want for Alex Hicks.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens this week in New Mexico. I'm with you.
I really hope he wins, and I hope you send me a middle finger on socials. That's really what I want.
It's going to happen. All right. We'll be back in about 2 minutes to talk about doubles action for New Mexico. Welcome back, ACL Nation. Calling all the keyboard warriors. Got Bernie and Keck going at it in the chat.
No, I've never responded to the chat. That's the first time, only because it's Josh.
Well, you did it with style, man. All right, let's dive into doubles action for not the pro shootout.
Yeah, pro shootout number 1. Let's go.
Thank you, Sparky, calling me out, man. Turning my letter of resignation right now. I'm sorry. All right, ACL Open number 7, New Mexico, Albuquerque on the clock. We'll see you guys Friday for women's seniors and blind draw action, doubles on Saturday, singles on Sunday as normal. My top team to look out for here is Jordan Kamba and Tanner Halbert. We got a lot of mix and matching going on throughout this season. Jordan Kamba, I believe I saw Frank Motlin teamed up with nobody. So Jordan Kamba teaming up with Tanner Halbert. Interesting to see.
Well, they're brother-in-law. I mean, they're about to be brother-in-laws, so that works.
Yep, definitely understand the connection as far as who they're teaming up with who, but maybe Frank Motlин's a mystery partner. We'll see what happens there.
Find a way, Frank. Just
find a way, Frank. Pick up anybody. Who knows? Maybe he'll pick up Canoe McGuire, and we'll see what they can do. But Jordan Kamba, I think, is a player that we all kind of want to keep an eye out for this season.
Sure.
Tanner, obviously, always near the top. He's in that elite status that we all like to watch every single Open. So this will be a good opportunity for Jordan Kamba and Tanner Halbert to come out and show us what they got.
Let me ask you a question, Wally. I want your opinion on this because I've asked everyone else, and I'm asking you now because we're live. Tanner Halbert's one of my favorite people in cornhole, not just play.
Okay. Yeah.
Is he a guy that kind of stops at 6? You know what I mean? Or is he a guy that can go all the way to number 1? Does that make any sense?
So I talked about this a little bit with Mish on our show, and I think that the difference between number 1 and the difference between number 10 is 1 or 2 breaks throughout the season.
True.
I feel like Tanner was on the wrong side of those breaks a couple times.
At least twice. At least twice in nationals. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference. I think that separates what Tanner is and what Tanner can be. So if those breaks fall his way, I could see him being top 3.
Agreed. I just wonder.
I don't have him in my top 3.
Right. I don't either. But I feel like talent for talent, when you play the style he plays, because bags are going to be in the hole with the style he plays.
Yeah, we're starting to see him kind of mess around with some trick shots as well.
I think he realizes that the way the youth are playing isn't just hole for hole. And you're going to have to manufacture points at some point, right? And if you get stuck in that style of game for too long, you can see yourself drift a little bit. But I don't know, man. Talent for talent, I think Tanner Halbert's one of the best. I'm curious, and the only reason I bring it up is I was wanting your opinion. Is he a guy that kind of maxes out at 5 or 6, or is he a guy that can go all the way to number 1? I'm curious.
To be forced to answer your question, I would say no. I think that Tanner can be up there with the top. Into my number 2 pick, though, you see Jacob Foreman, Matthew Creekkiller right there talking about one of their championships last year. It's around this time, I believe, that we started to notice them. I think it was pretty much the same time frame. The end of January, they were in, was it Atlantic City or where?
The first national, we were in Vegas, and they just went nuts. Well, no, they didn't play well in doubles then, but it was Atlantic City that they burst on the scene.
That's the one I'm thinking of, Atlantic City. We had that separate room we had to go to for the podcast. Yeah, so Matthew Creekkiller and Jacob Foreman, this is the time of year where they start getting a little bit hot. I mean, we're talking about Matthew Creekkiller being quiet. I mean, Jake Foreman's a little bit quieter than that. So,
can I send a shout out to Jacob's mom, by the way? Because some of the parents of some of the younger kids, it's so hard on them. I don't think people realize that, and I think she does such an amazing job with them. She really does. Because I ran into them in Vegas at like 4 a.m. waiting on an Uber.
Oh man!
And it was just like, she's a really nice woman. So shout out to Jacob Foreman's mom.
There you go. If you're going to give a shout out, I'm going to give a shout out to the 808 Cornhole Get Nuts crowd.
Yes.
They travel deep. Love it. And they all look very, very nice, coordinating their jerseys every single day. So that is why I'm putting Michaela Calby and Alyssa Calby on my list. I want to see what these 2 young ladies can do. We saw, I believe it was Michaela, go very deep in the women's bracket in Upland, California. And Alyssa Calby's not too far behind her. I played Alyssa one time, and she wants it really, really bad. And I don't know if you had a chance to watch them in Spencer's McKenzie.
It wasn't so much there. It was in Rock Hill, getting to know some of the 808 crowd and watching how some of the young girls played. Very impressed. Very impressed.
Pretty much every single time I see them together, man, they got a good crowd following them. Obviously, a lot of support from.
Don't you want to go, Wally? Wally, why are we not going to Hawaii at some point?
We are going. Josh Keck, you're in the chat still, I believe. Let us know exactly when we're going to Hawaii. I'm putting you on the spot right now. We're going to Hawaii, right? It's got to happen. I said it on the air. It's live. It has to happen.
I just want to be invited because normally I don't get invited to the cool stuff. I want to go to Hawaii.
I'm not invited in February.
What? There's something in February?
The shootout? I'm not going.
I mean, it's this golden tone that I have, Wally, apparently, that they like so much.
I don't have a boo button on my keyboard, so we'll just kind of move on. All right, I'm going to shock the world right here with my number 4.
I love that pick.
Eddie Gurnersleeve and Caleb Batson will win doubles.
By the way,
in New Mexico.
Love that pick. By the way, preface, did you see what Josh said?
Yep.
We'll go to Hawaii when we go to Hawaii.
I like it. All right, date is confirmed. Everybody mark it on your calendar when we go. But
no, I love that pick.
Eddie and Caleb are going to win the New Mexico doubles.
Wow. That's
calling
strong.
It right now. I don't even need to see the brackets. I usually always wait for my picks.
Yeah.
Doing it right here.
I like that pick, man. Yeah. I've always been a fan of Easy Eddie.
We were kind of talking about during the draft. We were very shocked that AJ Sims wasn't the number 1 pick for the Bully Baggers. And I just went through the list. Caleb Batson is Eddie's doubles partner this year.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he pick Caleb Batson number 1?
Sure. Of course he
makes
would.
sense.
Yeah.
I think that's
I think the fact that AJ slid a little bit was a little shocking to people, but
I didn't expect him to come back and then to be able to pick him up in the 2nd pick, but I mean, my bad on letting that little oversight, although I didn't have a microphone on me, so I guess it's all your guys' bad. I'm off the hook.
Man, what a crazy day that was, by the way.
Yeah, everything went smooth. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you guys did amazing. I was high on like all kinds of cold medicine. The fact that I was speaking was kind of crazy. Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and do my normal thing where I shout out some up and coming players. We want to talk about the future of the sport. Let's go with Gavin Hammond and Jackson Remick, the Colorado Young Guns. Got a chance to see them in Myrtle Beach. Bernie, I don't know if you were on the broadcast court for much of the high school's action.
Oh, I was. No, I was over there, though. I saw these guys play. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're pretty much in every single finals when it came to high school action. But they've been traveling the country, man. That's one thing we talk, you give a shout out earlier to the parents. Again, just shout out to a lot of the parents making this happen for their kids, chasing their dreams, getting to that pro status. I know Gavin and Jackson are both.
Hey, can I ask you a question, Wally?
Playing in the Opens and doing very well.
So if you have a kid and you name him Jackson and you use an X, aren't you calling him Jax? I'm calling him Jax.
Or son.
I'm not calling him Jackson. He's Jax. If I'm using the X, he's Jax.
Just call him son. Eliminate all that drama right off the bat. But
no, you love doing this show with me, by the way.
I always want to name my kid, but with 2 D's. So I'm not exactly the person to ask as far as what child should be or should not be called. I was very creative whenever I actually had a baseball bat. My grandpa, we made a bat and he engraved our name in it and burned our name in the wood and it says Kid Cool. That was going to be my son's name.
Oh, smack. That is awesome.
Kid that would have, but it was 3 Ks though.
That would have been pressure though. That's a hard name to live up to.
If he's a nerd, he's out.
Well, yeah, like if you're a band guy and you're in the math club, I mean, it's hard to fucking. God, what is up with you?
What is wrong with you?
I know. I've never done that.
I got it again. There
I have never done that before. That is crazy. Because you get me talking in a normal voice.
They were casual. All right. Well, as long as we're both getting fired on the same day.
Yeah.
Cool. Up the graphics and you
done it twice.
Bombs left and right.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Well, we're going to take another 2-minute break and get yelled at by the higher ups. And we come back, we're going to go into Bernie's doubles list. And I think she's going to be wrong because I already got the winners with Eddie and Kate. We'll see. What up, chat? Welcome back to ACL Live. We're having a little bit of fun today, maybe a little bit too much fun.
Yeah, apparently, because I've said words that I've never said on this show before. Twice.
Comfort levels could be interesting.
I mean, maybe that's a problem. Maybe I gotta get myself straight up here.
Chemistry.
Apologize.
We're vibing. Yeah. We're vibing.
We are. That's a problem. I know.
Josh Kett got you fired up in the chat.
Josh did get me fired up in the chat.
Got your endorphins overdrive right now, ready to go.
Because I normally don't. No offense, but I normally don't pay attention to the chat because of this reason. Because if I get wrapped up in it, all of a sudden, yeah,
it's too casual.
Yeah.
All right, back to being professionals, Bernie.
Here we go.
Dive into your doubles. Here we go. Yes, Open number 7, New Mexico.
So I jumped in with your boy Caden Allen, but I think that's an interesting partner, don't you? With Philip Lopez Jr., who's one of the best number 2s ever, I think. I mean, obviously, Philip can play on his own.
Number 1B.
But I guess you could go Jamie and Matt and choose who's 1B there. But is that not the next best number 2 player ever with Mark Richards? So for Caden to pick up Philip Lopez Jr., I think that's a fascinating doubles team. Don't be surprised if that's the winner.
Yeah, the Lucky Bag sponsorship obviously plays a factor here. I'm going to be curious to see what Philip's going to do, if they're going to go ahead and throw his snipers or if they're going to go ahead and switch over to the Surefire. So that's going to be the pretty much only thing I'm going to look out for.
Yeah, I just to me, they're fascinating. That's a fascinating doubles team. And number 2, I had to bring her in at some point, right?
I'm fine with you bringing this one. And by the way, Bernie, before you get too far into this, I like your list better than mine, even though I got the winners on my side.
I love Jeremy. Jeremy Frazier is actually one of my favorite under the radar guys. I think there's a lot of talent there. I think it's a guy that tends to respond better the higher level play he plays against. Does that make any sense?
May I interject first?
Yes, sir. I would love you to.
How is he under the radar to you guys? I've been talking about him for a year.
Once again, when I get into conversations with Trey and Anthony, and especially Jeff on Borderline, these are guys that are locked in basically top 20 players, right? And so Jeremy would be an under the radar guy in that level. And so I just think that he's a player that I tend to think plays up better than he plays down.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like if he's playing somebody he thinks he's better than, you don't get his A game. But if he's playing against, name him in the top 10, I feel like you get his better game.
Yeah, he was always one of those guys who came over to me and said, "Hey, I'm playing, so-and-so next. Get me on the broadcast court. I want this." Or, I'm playing so-and-so next. Or, I asked him who I got in his bracket. He's like, "I hope I play." And he words it differently. I always talk to these pros when I'm at these events during commercial breaks. Who do you got in your bracket? It's one question I ask everybody. I'm like, and their response to some of them is, "I got Cheyenne in my bracket, man." Jeremy's response is always, "I hope I can play Cheyenne in the finals."
Right.
It's a different way of wording it, which doesn't show fear. And I think it translates whenever he goes into those matches.
I'm 100%. Like if there's a knock on Jeremy, it's you don't get his A game when he thinks he's better than someone.
Yeah, I think he might maybe be looking too far ahead sometimes, and that's why you're not getting that A game.
Exactly, and that's a hard thing to get over. And it doesn't sound like it's a lot. It's really not. It's just a matter of focus. But you put him with Cheyenne, I think that's a great. Once again, I like my number 1 and 2 team. I would not be surprised if either one of those 2 teams win their bracket, let alone go further.
Yeah, we go through the list off the air ahead of time, and you have.
How about number 3? How about number 3?
That's what I was going to get to. So we can't go into number 3 until Gavin is in the chat acknowledging that we put him on the list, because Gavin's talking to me personally. Get me on your list. Get me on your list, Gavin. I was going to get you on my list.
By the way,
but Bernie stole it.
You ready for this? I apologize to Gavin Cano about always getting his name wrong.
You did it right there.
I know. And I did. And I was like, Gavin, I don't know why. I know your name is Cano. I understand completely how to say your name. But for some reason, I always say it wrong.
Yeah. And here's a pro team teaming up with Fisher Hamilton. And we'll see exactly what they
look. Fisher's, coming out of starring in whatever soap opera that week. I mean, that's still the best soap opera name ever. Fisher Hamilton. Dr. Drake Ramore.
You're always trying to put someone somewhere else. Let them be cornhole players, Bernie.
And by the way, can we talk about how cool number 4 is? Only in our sport can you get those two people playing together?
Yeah, there you see the picture from Bob Vaughn.
When you essentially could get a grandparent playing with a grandchild, age-wise. You know what I mean? Only in our sport could you get that.
Yeah, definitely. Although Ian's starting to get tall, man.
Dude, Ian's going to be like 6 feet tall, just smacking people around. But look, baseball had the Griffeys when they played together. That's father-son, right? Yeah. Like that's hard to do, but doable. Yeah. Only in this sport where you could have a grandfather age playing with a grandson age. And I think it's awesome. I really do. I think it's awesome. And on top of that, don't sleep on them. Those are two guys that would love to be overlooked.
Oh, man. You see the chat?
I haven't looked at it.
Like Gavin says, Fisher can't make it this weekend. He's playing with Justin Burton Jr.
Oh.
So there you go. List ruined.
All right,
complete. Take him off. Yeah. Take him off.
Take him off.
List is ruined anymore. Let's throw someone else in there. Here we go.
Yeah. And then number 5, my ladies, Sam Finley, Allison Peters. I thought at the beginning of this season, I thought we were getting a Sam Finley that was going to challenge to be the number 1 female on the planet. And I'm not sure if I'm getting that anymore. And look, we're not supposed to have favorites, right? We're supposed to kind of you always talk favorites, but we're not supposed to talk favorites. We're not supposed to talk about people we really like that we want to do better. But these are 2 women that I wish would do better. And that's why I have them on my list. And it's not a knock. I'm not knocking them in any way. I just want them to perform better. That's it.
I think Sam Finley is still going. I'm still sticking by it. Sam Finley is going to finish number 1 in the end of the season at women's. Allison Peters, though, I do want to see more out of Allison Peters this year. She
did well
in pretty much a
Carolina conference. Yeah,
3-0, then finishing like 4-2, 3-2 type. Season for me. You know, she's strong on the winner's side and then doesn't really come back out of the loser's bracket and make that splash. So
which is the hardest. Look,
it is.
You know, one thing I like, one of the reasons why I like Cheyenne so much, you put Cheyenne in the loser's bracket, Cheyenne rolls through loser's brackets because she's mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more women need to adopt that mindset. Like, I shouldn't be here. I'm getting out of here. You know what I mean? And that's a tough part, especially in open competitions for women. But these 2 ladies are 2 of my favorite people on tour. So I had them on my list because I want to see them do better, period.
Yeah, I think that they're going to do very well. I think what do you think about the whole field? Looking at all these signups today, do you think this is going to be a tough open, or do you think it's pretty top heavy?
It's top heavy to me, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen top heavy opens where, you know, I mean, if you look back at last year, Alex Hicks wasn't the Alex Hicks that we know now, and he always found a way to burst through the top heavy opens.
Yeah, looking at the list, I mean, there's a lot of signups. I believe it was 255 teams.
I mean, that's crazy. That's 500 plus players.
255. How many? Well, obviously, we got mix and matches going on. Gavin Cano and Justin Burton Jr. Going to be a tough team to beat. But out of the 255, how many teams do you think actually have a chance at winning this whole thing?
7.
I was thinking like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking 7 just on the outside, but 7.
Yeah, I like 7 actually, but I mean, I don't know. I just feel like this will be an open that's up for grabs as far as doubles is concerned. Anybody can beat anybody, and who knows the way rounders shakes out. Sometimes you might get that tough first or second.
I would not be surprised if my top 2 play in the finals.
Who are your top 2 again? I just took it off. Oh, Caden Allen, Philip Lopez, and Jeremy and Cheyenne.
It would not surprise me. And there's good teams. And I'm not knocking any other teams. There's great teams there, but I would not be surprised if those are bracket winners.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm already on air calling mine out. Unless it doesn't happen, then of course I'll go back.
I do like the Caleb.
I
do like Eddie and Caleb on your list, though. That's strong.
Yeah, the Texas boys are in the chat all the time, giving us some grief back and forth. So, Gavin, you're on my list. Bernie stole you, so I had to take you off of my list, and then now you're not even teaming up with the right person. So,
what's happening out there? This is the graphic card mistake. It's just been the graphic cards just didn't work this week. It's okay.
All my fault. It's
not.
My fault.
It's not really though. It's okay.
But I mean, open number 7, man. We're almost halfway through.
Isn't that crazy?
Getting into it. It just feels so weird for me still without a national for 3
Well,
months.
because normally we get through, this point or the next couple of weeks, we've had that first national. For whatever reason, it's just hasn't worked out this year for scheduling and some other reasons. But yeah, I'm with you. Normally,
I've been kind of thinking about it too. Like the first national that we had last year was kind of like, we're just kind of like just going, and then national number one. Here we are, and then
because we came out of Myrtle Beach, and it was 3 weeks later we were at a national in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and then we're just kind of like a lull, like okay, shake that first one off. That one didn't matter. We only need 3. We got the next 3. We could worry about it, but now it's going to be bang, 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 bang. So what's going to be that event that just triggers the pow? Here we are. We're awake. We're ready to go.
But in a way, I mean, to speak of it that way, because remember last year you had Kyle Malone and Cody won that first doubles national. Which was not necessarily for Kyle. This is no disrespect to Cody Johnson, but like the kind of a reach for Cody right there to win a national, right?
And he threw well. He threw well in that.
I mean, he played his tail off, but that was a little bit of a reach for him. And Kyle's Kyle. And that's, we had Kyle on borderline, and I asked him straight up, like, there was a point where you were Kyle Malone before, and then there was a dip. What was it? Walk us through it. Explain it to us, because him playing the way he is now isn't as much as a surprise as that dip was, in my opinion.
Right.
And, but with what he did with Cody last year, I mean, that was impressive, but it was almost like it got forgotten because it had been a month and a half, 2 months before we got to the next national. And then you had the Creek Killer Foreman duo, and then you had I don't know.
Did Creek Killer Foreman win 2 national?
I really can't. I can't tell you what. Josh probably. Yeah. It. But like there was time breaks this year. You could be a hot team this year, and theoretically win 3 or 4 nationals.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope we get some parity. I hope we get some unknowns coming out of it. I mean, I don't know what to expect this season. I think that's a good thing for me. I feel like obviously you got your front runners and Phillip and Mark, and then Matt and Jamie, Jay and Jordan. I mean, you got your elite names, but I feel like the parity is.
I'm wanting to see what the younger kids do, because all I've heard, and when you go through the open season, and this is the thing about the open season, there are a bunch of names that come up in the open season, and then you don't hear from them again in the nationals. Well, we didn't get that last year with Mark and Phillip, especially with Mark, right? We didn't like that. He just burst on the scene, tore everybody up. But there are other names that burst through that you don't really hear from again in the same way. Because look, the top pros, believe it or not, you beat them in an open and you're telling all your friends about it. They're not playing the opens the same way they're playing the nationals. They're just not. I'm telling you. You ask them player for player, and they'll tell you it's different. And it is different. It's just like any other sport. Any other sport. Golf, tennis, football, basketball. When things jump up to that top level of competition, things change. They just do. And I'm curious to see with some of these younger names and some of these younger players how they adjust to that this season.
I remember early in the season, Trey asked the question, will an amateur win an open event? And obviously we got that.
Yeah. I
never really had a chance to talk with anybody about the rookie class last season. And
I did. I talked about it all the time. I thought it was amazing.
Talked about it a lot, and that's kind of why I want to get into it real quick. We got we're actually getting over in time, but real quick. There were some outsiders last season who I thought should have been pros, but because of age or whatever, they just weren't pros. I feel like this season has kind of fixed that. Other than Caden, I feel like everyone who probably should be a pro is a pro this season. So the pro field is deeper.
Well, let me ask you this, because Trey and I talked about this probably 100 times last year. Trey felt that the last 2 rookie classes would be the last time we got rookie classes like that.
Yeah.
I think this year's rookie class, though top heavy, is still extraordinary.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is I think that the rookie class this year has some doubles teams that
absolutely
could win the world championship.
And I wasn't, and it's my fault. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. I actually agreed with Trey last year that I thought last year's rookie class would be the last time we went deep like that on a rookie class. Every year there's going to be a player or two, right, that they're going to come out and surprise everyone. But I'm wrong. This is another amazing rookie class, and I can't wait to see how they respond with the pressure of the Nationals. I can't wait. I really can't.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to this season, man. This is our last week for who knows how long, man. We might get terminated after this.
Yeah, especially with my languages. What is happening?
I know we got at least 1 week off. Again, next week we're going to go into some teams breakdowns. Anthony and Trey are going to be here for ACL Live.
Professionals doing their jobs next week.
Yeah, it'd be very well spoken and very eloquent, and there won't be any mistakes on graphic cards. So you guys will have a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. Bernie, appreciate you today, man.
Yes,
Everyone
sir.
else enjoy themselves. I'll see you guys Friday. Here you go.